That was something that I had seen the first time I ever went to Pathfoot, when I went to Stirling just to kind of look at the architecture of the campus, because I knew that it was a modernist campus. So I'd just gone there to spend the day walking around, and ended up wandering into Pathfoot, not really knowing what it was or anything. And then I saw the Mary Martin piece on the wall, and I was really struck by it. I thought, God, that's brilliant. And then I realised that Pathfoot itself is a really interesting building with lots of artworks. And I was interested in the relationship between the building, the architecture of the building, the artwork that it houses, and the landscape around it, which all seem to be crucial kind of features. I mean, the way that the building itself sits in the landscapes is, an essential part of the architecture. The fact that you can look out all these big windows and see trees and bushes, that's a massive part of Pathfoot. And the artworks just integrate into it perfectly. But, in some of the courtyards, there's the Barbara Hepworth one, and the Mary Martin one just sits there perfectly on the wall. And, it's kind of flawless, really. I wonder sometimes if people look at it and think, I think when I first saw it, I wasn't immediately 100% sure that it was an artwork. I thought it may have been an architectural feature that had been installed as part of the building. It kind of dawned on me that it was an artwork. And then I started looking into, Mary Martin. I hadn't really known Mary Martin's work. So it could be an architectural feature. And I was just reading, before I came online, I was just reading another little bit about Mary Martin and how she was quite keen that with her work that sometimes it would be like a piece of the architecture, kind of involved with an integral part of a building. I quite like that. And that kind of marries in with some of the work that I've done over the years. I'm quite interested in these kind of architectural interventions. Looking at her work, I've realised that, without really thinking about it, I can see that I've obviously been influenced by it, subliminally. A lot of the work I do, I can see my own work in it, and I realise that what she does must be out there quite a lot. And over the years, I must have spotted her work, and it must have just fed into my own thoughts, because I can see that there's similarities in what she's interested in and what I've been interested in over the years. So I think her work is probably kind of just kind of quietly fed into what I do, without me really having realised it. So the way that the artwork sits in the building itself, I'm just looking at a picture of it now, and the way, I forgot just how long it was. Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, if you look at it, just looking at the photos, it's a massive, long sculpture. It's all coming back to me now. When I did my residency there, in I think it was about 2016, I remember this now, conversations with people about the Mary Martin piece having been in the dining area. But where they rehoused it kind of looks right. So I made when I did this residency, there was always going to be an exhibition at the end of it. So I was working towards making work that would somehow kind of suit the space that's at the gallery that they have at the very top of the stairs at Pathfoot. So I spent a lot of time planning and thinking, and I decided to do this mobile that was really kind of tailored perfectly to fit into that space. Spent a lot of time measure. I couldn't get up ladders either, so a lot of it was done with, I'd got a load of lengths of dowel, that's right, and I gaffer taped them together, and I used that to reach the ceiling to try and measure, and then I would bring it down and stick a bit of tape on it, and so I did all that. It was a massive, lengthy, painstaking process to get that mobile, as it was the thing that I designed, to fit just right in that space so that it wouldn't be too low, so that people couldn't reach up and hit it. So it had to be high enough to avoid that, but not too high. So it still had to be in people's line of sight as they came through the corridor before they came down the stairs, and then it would be above their heads. And it was made out of foam board, mainly because it's incredibly light, and it only needs the tiniest draft to get it to start moving. The shapes were they were based on the rectangular kind of shapes that you find around Pathfoot. I'd made them all the same size. Again, this is a bit like what Mary Martin does, taking a set component and then repeating it and then jiggling it about in different arrangements. So it was a bit like that. I think there might have been 8 of those rectangles, all exactly the same size. But the idea was that as they slowly moved in the wind, they'd start to create interesting sort of shapes amongst themselves as they wafted in front of each other. So, I enjoyed making that piece, and I was so pleased that it worked. And it was, I was really chuffed with it. I liked the way that I'd made mobiles before, and I do like the kind of random way that they, you can just kind of leave it and it'll just forever, it'll just keep rearranging itself and never repeat itself. So it's always looks different. So that was one of the things that I liked about the idea of making a mobile. And it worked great. And then the university asked if they could buy it, which they did. So it changed from being a temporary piece for the 2 months of the exhibition into being a permanent part of their collection, which was fine for the first couple of years. And then they had a flood in the building. And I got a phone call from them to say that the whole of the Crush Hall was under inches of water. And because there had been a kind of humidity in the building from the water, it had affected the foam board mobile, and it had started to bend a little bit. So I went and looked at it, and we talked about making another one and replacing it and making it out of another material. But I don't think it would have, if I'd made it out of another material, which would have probably been heavier, it might not have done the same thing. And then there was the slight concern about having something heavy hanging over people's heads. So I just decided, we decided, they said to me, we don't mind it, the fact that it's a little bit bent, we still quite like it. I was going, I think I still quite like it as well. And maybe people will think that the bendiness was intentional. So I just left it.
This podcast was created by Nicola Foley and hosted on Buzzsprout with music from Pixabay. A huge thank you to Ally Wallace for chatting with me. I really appreciate you spending your time here, and I hope you'll join me next time.